Oh hi, welcome back to another episode of Black Dot Miniatures of Paints. Kevin coming back to you. This week we're bringing you a Blood Angels troop. I don't know exactly what to call this cat. He comes out of the Space Marine Adventures box, which it's sold by Target, exclusively at Target. I don't know if it's exclusive, but it is a dumbed down version of Warhammer. You know, it's geared for kids 8 and up, so if you've got kiddos wanting to play Warhammer at the house with mommy and daddy or whoever, this may be a good option for you. It comes with 5 different Space Marines from 5 different chapters. The only bad thing is it doesn't come with any Necrons. I think I may need to buy some to add to it. But let's check this dude out together. So we undercoated him with Vallejo Black Primer, and now we're hitting him with a Minitaire Bloody Mud. You don't have to use the Minitaire again. I use it because I already have them in the pot ready to go. You could easily mix up some Dryad bark and some red, and it would give the same effect. We just want a nice brown red to start from so we can build our highlights off of that and have nice contrast. Then we come in with flame red ink from FW. I'm really starting to dig these inks, man. I mean, the only bad thing was I had to lay down several coats of this just to make sure it got to the bright Blood Angels red. But realistically, it looks really good as long as you give it the time to let it build up those colors. So we ended up hitting this guy with 3 coats in total, and I must say, it turns out great. You know, there are very solid transitions from the top to the shadows, and it's definitely a nice thing to start putting in our arsenals. Inks are looking like the way of the future, so just get your popcorn ready. Alright, so next we're going to come through with GW's Wild Rider Red, and we're just going to go ahead and start laying down some edge highlights around the model. It does help to just continue to pop it up. The FW Flame Red ink does a very good job of getting very bright very quickly, so this is a pretty close match to where we can start building off of. While I've got y'all here watching this, I just want to apologize for the lack of content consistency here lately. I am an essential personnel, and we have just been... we've been busy. So luckily it sounds like this week we are going back to normal and I can start really focusing on bringing contact back to y'all on the regular. I appreciate y'all's patience with me. We're going to start kicking the content out and bringing y'all stuff week after week like I tried to originally. So just stick with me, and I appreciate y'all's patience with this. So I don't know what it is about Blood Angel models in general, but every time you get this nice awesome looking red coming through and then you just start cutting in these blacks, it goes from a 6 to a 9 immediately. You start cutting in all these little armor joints, the black parts of the power pack, all of that around the model, and it just boom, gets sexy quick. So what we're doing here is just filling in any of the soft joints. We're also filling in any of the parts that are eventually going to be lead belcher, because we want to have a nice black coat to build from. So just take your time picking out all the stuff. Try not to jack up all the red we laid down, but just look at that, man. That looks freaking good. I don't know what it is. You go from that nice red to those black breaks in it, and Alright, so now we're just coming through with the lead belcher. We're hitting all the silver parts on the gun, you know, the magazine, the handle, the bolt, the sight, all of the standard silver stuff on the gun. We're also coming through hitting all of our metal parts of the power pack, you know, the vents, and then his little, I don't know, cell phone he's got going on over in his hand. I didn't realize part of the 41st millennium was going to be cell phones the size of freaking bricks, but I mean, I guess it's like a satellite phone or something. You need to get across the galaxy. I guess you got to have something a little bit bigger than a friggin' Razr flip phone. So if you might be able to tell by now from watching some of my other videos, I love XV88. This is probably one of the paints that I burn through on the regular more than most of the other ones. I mean, obviously you got your heavy use ones, you know, black, silver, stuff like that, but XV88 is always my go-to. It's a great color. I definitely recommend the crap out of it. So all we're doing with this is hitting the strap on his bolter, we're hitting his little pouches, and then we start laying down the base coat for the purity seal on his leg there. So coming through with Retributor armor, we're going to go ahead and do the Aquila on his chest. He's got a little gold emblem on his rifle case, and then he's also got a skull on the back of his power pack. Easy stuff to get to, easy stuff to knock out, just make sure you find it. So I've seen some people do otherwise, but I prefer with my Blood Angels hitting Caliban green into the eyes. Also all these little lenses he has throughout him, I'm hitting that with Caliban green. Just be careful here, especially around that freaking helmet, because you really don't want to jack that thing up. So we'll just lay a nice Caliban green base coat, and then we'll work up transitions, make it a little bit nicer. Also hit his little cell phone screen here. So before I can start getting into my washes, which I know y'all have noticed I do this crap out of order. I don't know why. I don't know. It puts a filter over it. If I have any really janky lines, it kind of hides some of it. So I think that's why I do my washes last. But we're hitting the base with Skavenblight Dinge, and then the next step we're going to come through with a Darktone, and we're just going to cover this whole dang thing top to bottom. Now, I will say, for some reason in this step, I don't know if stuff wasn't completely dry yet, if I don't know, but I started ripping up ink like a mug. So I don't know if that's something with inks specifically. You may need to seal them before you can hit them with the Darktone. I will also say that I didn't shake it up like I was supposed to, so that may have been part of the problem. So if you see some things look a little bit different from this shot to the next shot, I had to go through, reapply my FW ink. I had to go through and start cutting in my colors again, because again, it just started ripping stuff off of there. So just be careful with that, be mindful of that. I wish I had made the effort to go ahead and seal it. I think that would have helped me a lot, but you know, inks are stuff I'm still learning how to use. So just want to pass the information along, maybe save you this step later on. Alright, so to start going ahead and highlighting up our golds, I switched to a Liberator gold. Make sure you shake the crap out of that thing. For whatever reason, that paint just separates so dang quickly. All we're doing is hitting the high points throughout the gold on his body. Then we go ahead and mix up Liberator gold and Runefang steel 1-to-1. We're just working in a smaller highlight pattern than what we've established with the Liberator gold before. So easy stuff here, just be careful. Again though, if you jack it up, if you go a little too hard with it, no problem. Just switch to your last color, reestablish the mid-tone, and then work from there. So to go ahead and get a wash on the bone and khaki parts, we did the skull and XV88, we're hitting that with the Agrax Earthshade, and then we're also hitting the pouches on his body, so nothing crazy there. Just don't let it pull up too heavy in the corners and recesses. So I hit the Purity Seal with the Screamer Pink. I didn't get it on video, but I also did come through with the Pink Horror and go ahead and highlight that thing. It just didn't make camera. Next we move on to the cell phone screen a little bit more in his eyeball. We're hitting a Moot Green, and all we're trying to do is follow an arc in the top left corner of his little cell phone with the Moot Green to make it look like, you know, sun's hitting it and the viewfinder is shifting. We're also hitting the corner of his eyeball from the front of him, working back, blending it back, and then all the little lenses throughout his body. Nothing crazy here. The biggest thing I recommend is just trying to be good with your blends. If you go from dark green to light green, it really looks a little strange. So here we're coming back through with XV88. All we're doing is reestablishing what we washed down earlier with the Agrax. No big deal, we're just hitting the raise points on the Purity Seal here. We're hitting the raise points on the skull on him, and also the edge highlights of his sling. That was a little tricky to get edge highlights in there just because of the way the model was sculpted, but just take your time, it'll work itself out. Now the final highlight for all of that is going to be mixing a little bit of Averland Sunset and XV88. It's a pretty interesting highlight. I definitely recommend you giving that one a rip and checking it out. Alright guys, so here's our finished product. I think he turned out great. I definitely love the transition between the real darks to the real bright reds. I think he just looks like what you think in your head whenever you think of a Blood Angel. Turned out really great. So again, I apologize for not being able to bring y'all as much content as I would like to. It's just been hellacious at work here lately. You know, thankfully we are going back to a normal schedule. My wife's back to work now, so I actually can spend time at the house working on this stuff to try and bring you content back on that regular basis. I'm very happy that I have even the viewership I do that comes back week after week, checks me out. If you found something useful in this video, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe. Shoot that thing out, man. Shotgun that on the wall. Let's see if I can get some more clicks out of it. Again, this has been Kevin with Black Dot Miniatures of Paints. Thanks for checking me out. We'll check you next time. Bye for now.